Hey there, good morning. It's Saturday, like March 20 or May 23rd, and it's Memorial Day weekend. And I wanted to update you on the IRS. I think the last time I talked about them, I told you how I was trying to get validated through their phone people, and they refused to validate me at that time, and they were very rude and said someone would call me back, which they never did. I was evoked to do my taxes, which I haven't done in a few years because I haven't been working a regular job and making income for the past, not 2 years, but 5 years back. Before that, I didn't file my taxes. And when I had my company, I used to have to call the IRS, and they were actually pretty respectable then, and you could dialogue with them, and they were professional, and they would help you out, and that's changed, as you can see. So they wouldn't validate me, even though I was validated on ID.me and their login and everything. I can look online and see all my stuff, but they wouldn't validate me. And so I did my taxes through taxslayer.com, and it's an online portal that files them. It's very convoluted still, the tax system, and complicated and everything else. Even a simple thing of me earning some 1099 earnings, not W-2 earnings, they make it very complicated. I didn't owe any taxes. And then I had an email saying you need to get confirm that this is you type of thing. So I called them, and they were giving me a hard time about my past addresses once again, which I didn't remember some of them. I moved around a lot, even with our company we did. And then finally they got into, what's your mom's maiden name, what's your father's middle name, all this stuff that only I know, or, I could answer easily. And they validated me. So things have changed. And then they said, well, you didn't upload any direct deposit information to get your refund. I'm like, a refund? I have a refund? Because once again, it was so convoluted, and no one notified me I'd be getting money back. I just thought I didn't know anything. But, so I quickly uploaded my details, and I'm still waiting to hear back on just a little small refund. I recommend taxslayer.com. Even though it's convoluted, they did make the process pretty easy, and it's more of an interview style portal, so that helped. Customer service is really lacking out there, and the people don't understand that the people shopping or the people doing business with you are the ones paying your bills. Those people that are your managers, so-and-so, they're not paying your bills. They're physically doing the paperwork, but the people buying stuff from you are paying your bills. It's important you clock into customers. And I'm really disappointed with the big companies that think they are above decent actions, including auto dealers, are really troublesome to me on how they're behaving, how they're treating people that have bought cars from them. I've been a big fan of Toyota for years, including buying 7 vehicles throughout my marriage. We paid cash. And 7 different Toyota vehicles. And then when we had an issue with one of them recently, they were horrible, just horrible. They have these service representatives that speak for the mechanics, unfortunately, and they are terrible to deal with, including getting very, very rude. When I ask questions, they don't like you asking questions, and even after all the business I've given them, just one person, 2 people, they couldn't be bothered with helping us out, whether getting us into a different vehicle, making sure we're safe, and not having to rent cars while it's being serviced, and so on. Even if they try to give you a loaner, you have to have the full coverage, you have to have this in place, you know, to even get a loaner through them. And they did say the warranties take precedence over the other people, so be forewarned. And I feel for the other auto shops out there that are having to get this business because of these big auto dealers treating people horrible. And they're suffering too, these shops, and they're having to make amends for what you're doing, Toyota and other big automakers. And I think everybody deserves respect out there and compensation for your behavior. You could easily put people in a safe vehicle and take the vehicle that is causing problems now off their hands and our hands. Small companies really, not all, but there's a lot of companies out there that do understand what that means if somebody is unhappy. And they offer refunds. I mean, you can go to a restaurant and complain about your food, and guess what they do? They're like, well, you're not going to have to pay for it, or let's remake it. You know, and why is it fair that you guys get away with this, but other companies feel like they don't, and they shouldn't? They have a higher vibration, don't they? Toyota is, if you go to the corporate, they are not their boss. They are a partner with these franchises, and the franchises are privately owned. In my company, if somebody was unhappy, it was a film casting company for the TV industry, commercial industry, some print work, promotions, movies, things like that. And we had additional services. We would do headshots for talent, put them in our database. We charge fees to get in the database and so on. And then we also had a free side to us where you could put your information online. And we became even more virtual as far as you uploading your own shots, this and that. And if somebody was unhappy, it wasn't a guaranteed industry, so it was always tricky. But I wanted people to work. That was my job. I was a go-between the production companies and the agents and the other people out there that were handling talent or might have a roster of talent that we could tap into for auditions or submitting their photos so they could be picked. And people were frustrated if they didn't get work, as you can understand, because it wasn't a guaranteed industry. The biggest group that we got requested was 18 to 35 age range. Everybody else is considered more of a niche. And we did our best to keep people in mind. Technology took over, of course, because the casting alerts, instead of calling people, we would send them an email saying, are you interested in this project? Here are the dates. Are you available? Let us know and we'll submit you. It made it easier for us. But some people were old-fashioned. They didn't even have this in place. They didn't know how to work an email. And if people were really unhappy, we would give them a refund. We would do a reshoot on them if it was something to do with their images. We would list them at no charge, give them a chance. That way, you had a little more bells and whistles if you had a membership. And keep them in mind. You know, we did our best to accommodate disgruntled people. And these places out there just feel like they don't have to do that. They think they're above God's law. And true compassion, true following the 10 Commandments, being truthful, they feel they're above that, unfortunately. This is going to stop. It's just a matter of time. Um, I saw that Greenland was protesting Americans. The way the news put it was Greenland is protesting Americans. And when I really started digging into what is America, um, because I don't remember from school what America is. I've talked about this before. America is the northern and southern continents, and Greenland is actually part of the Americas. The United States is just one country in the Americas. So they're protesting themselves, and a lot of people don't know that because they weren't shown, they don't remember, they weren't taught that, and they got nervous that the United States is interested in taking over Greenland. Probably, is the big picture of what's going on. And there's a lot of conflict, of course, in these realms with what the president, the leader of the United States is doing. But you also have to look at what he's doing as far as wanting world peace, getting along with your neighbors, your allies. He is interested in getting along with all of the countries in America and all over the world and not having weapons of mass destruction. They do have a war compartment to them, unfortunately. And also, a lot of people are not following the 10 Commandments. And they don't realize they're in the food chain. And they think that they're the only suffering ones out there, whether it's the Jewish realm or even African Americans who see in history that they were enslaved. But people all over the world were enslaved, including white people, brown people, Asian people. And we're enslaved in the food chain. And I've mentioned this before, it must have been pretty scary with dinosaurs and cavemen. Having to overtake the beast, not understanding our growth and how we grew as humans and other beings and nature, air, earth, water, fire. And we completely went way too far and allowed a dictatorship to take hold of the world. And going plant-based and getting out of the killing fields is a really good idea for people. I encourage you to not get involved in protesting. They're uncivilized conflict, and you can get hurt. And it's not okay for you to get hurt for a cause, especially when people don't understand the true behind the scenes of what's going on in the inner workings of the universe. It's not okay for you to be a martyr. They call that martyrdom. It's not okay for you to get hurt. When I was a flight attendant, I wasn't close with my family, and we were on a really rough flight going into Florida. Weather was atrocious, and we couldn't get the airplane down on the ground. And we had even a crew on board that was non-revving, or they shuttle crews on board to other locations so they can take over a plane. And they were even sitting there as passengers, and everybody was throwing up. We all had to be seated, and we couldn't land. And I even thought, it's okay. No one really cares about me. I'm not close with my family. No one probably would miss me, is how I felt. And we ended up diverting to another airport and landing safely, and then they bussed people into that airport. It wasn't okay for me to feel that way. I was a martyr at that point. And that's why a lot of you feel this way, or you have peer pressure on you because your family didn't intervene in this area, and you started running with the gangs and the wolves and the packs, which can take you down, especially because you don't understand you're in the food chain. We've all been put in the ovens. We've adapted and adopted, and that's why we look the way we do, and we are starlight having experiences. And it's the blend of the meat, or the refrigeration of the meat, or the smoking of the meat, and of course the fish. These beings don't want to be these beings, and they don't want you killing them to eat, to get food. You don't need it. You need nature and plants, which will grow and can grow abundantly, and they're really easy. You don't have to keep buying seeds, and you don't have to keep buying things. Once you get established in your garden, they want to grow, and you get an abundance of veggies and fruit when you start doing this and looking at this. I have a lot of stuff on my Facebook page, if you can find it, Patrice Romero Facebook. I put a lot of recipes on there, posts, music, things that help me stay in the light, because it's a very it can be a very dark area when you go down the rabbit hole. The teens on the streets taking over and causing havoc, it needs to stop. They're going to start going after the parents very strongly if you do this and allow your teens to run amok. We don't want them getting hurt. We need them. They're important. And a lot of kids that were grown in the foster care area are really traumatized. And even more the reason to step in and don't be afraid to be a parent. It's okay to be friends with your kids, but there's a point where you have to step in and protect them from doing stupid things, because they will. And it's okay to teach them that they don't need these friends in their lives to be a whole person. It's the opposite. You have your universe around you. You're the center of your universe. Everyone else is a secondary actor in your universe. And they can take you down if they don't understand, or your family down, or they want to sleep with mom or dad, or they want to steal from you. So you have to be very selective in who you choose to be your friend. You are very important. And you have to allow these God spirits to take over and show you the way. A lot of you have been shown that God is real. I wasn't shown either until around 2014. And he came in very strong into my life. And we had an encounter, several encounters, where we actually rose up through the cloud and got to embrace and kiss and cry. And then we had to come back down to planet Earth. Traveling from lower, middle to upper earth, and breathing breath of life into my God, my animal spirit, my goddess, and Patrice. And I had to do the same on my way back down in that order. And in between this is the food chain and the confusion. I got involved in protesting in Hawaii, but they were permitted protests. They were very civil. And law enforcement was there, just watching our back and making sure things were kept civil, which they were the whole time. And it was the protesting of the genetically modified organisms and what was going on with a company called Monsanto, which was a chemical company growing food and creating these, we call them Terminator seeds, where you had to keep buying the seeds from them. And if they didn't like you, or you weren't doing what you were supposed to do, they would really wreak havoc on you. And the people growing these plants, I mean chemical companies like Dow and DuPont, and people growing these plants that were working the fields were getting really ill because they were uniting them with pesticidal wares and growing food that way, killing the bugs. And the bugs are us. That's our consciousness. That's your consciousness. And I still wasn't being shown to go vegan back then, but I was going more organic. And it was still a confusion, you know, as to what was going on, even localized in my family, my area, my marriage. And I started getting under attacks after I started opening up and hearing dialogue from the universe. I was getting attacks from being burned to being suicided to physically attacking me. They can spirits can come in and physically punch you inside you, and you think it's you. It's not. It's them. You're collectivized with what you bring into you. And I had to really start discerning and learning the difference of what was going on, because we had money. We had $1 million life insurance policy. We had things people wanted. And I wasn't following the 10 Commandments as far as thou shalt not kill. I was part of the food chain and killing animals. I thought it was okay. I didn't really think about it. And so once I got past this area, my universe really opened up, and these realms, in the God realms and the animal spirits are strong in me. And I started getting my creative side going, because I was very much into customer service, business. And you have this area you can tap into in your universe. And you are the artist. It's like those videos I've uploaded recently about working out. You can do that for dancing, for singing, and drawing. You know, just let your hand do the drawing. You might have just some weird scribbles or plants or things, and all kinds of stuff's going to appear on your paper. It's a lot of fun. And the same with you artists. You are the business person. So everybody's hurting out there when it comes to money, and the people that have money are hurting too. And their ego and our egos get in the way of being a real good human and someone that cares and a compassionate being. So you go through what's called ego death, and it's a very scary realm to be in. And it can take you down if you don't understand what's going on. So I encourage you not to get involved in protesting. I encourage you not to get involved in these causes. There's a lot of conflict. They're unpermitted. And they're just showing up and wreaking havoc on the cities and towns. And the kids that are without parents really need a lot of help. We need role models to step in and really come together and help these kids out. We need a lot of media exposure to this. The media is a big area of concern for a lot of people. There's a lot of fake news. There's a lot of AI. And this is all real. The universe is very literal. When you see these realms, you can take a photo and turn them into complete dancing, a whole song, in the funniest way. And they look like they're, you know, a really good dancer or a really funny being. It's amazing what you can do with this information. And just know, though, that truly is also higher intelligence that we can tap into, and don't be afraid of AI. We want automation. We want to be able to take a break, man, and become self-sufficient. And the schools are a big gateway, a huge gateway of making you feel inadequate and taking away your power. I would have done things different with my child, and we would have done more homeschooling, homesteading, studying, growing food, helping the neighbors, helping others, not commuting. And incorporating their parents, friends, the friends that people they want to be friends with. You have to incorporate the parents too. You can't just let these friends hang out. They do stupid stuff. Ladies, there's a lot of men out there that really look at you like you're a joke because you come on to them, you flirt with them, and there's a lot of men that have been taken over by realms of other men that are jealous of you. Stranger danger is very real, and they laugh at us, with all our hair and our makeup and our this and our that. And those realms are really cool. I love the hair makeup realms. I think they're really awesome. But don't be afraid to not wear makeup. Don't be afraid to let your tomboy come in, because you do have a male in you. And it's the divinity. It's the mother, the father, the child is in you. And your counterpart, your eternal flame. You don't need to be in a toxic relationship to feel like a whole person. And be in toxic friendships to feel like you're worthy. You have spirits around you that want to engage with you in good ways, from vegan cooking to getting organized to not going out as much, staying home, getting active. Learn to talk out loud and then censor yourself. And let them know, okay, you're here with me. I don't really see you. If you can show me signs, that'd be great. You might see things in your vision. I just saw a check mark come in. I watched a movie recently. It's on Netflix called His House. Boy, was it really, there's a few movies where at the end I'm really like tearing up and like really like, wow, this movie really shows the inner workings of the universe and what's going on in this realm. It's considered a horror. It has some scary elements to it, but it's really emotional. It's a really emotional movie. And it does show you this presence is with you and the spirits. There's a bunch of them, a bunch of us. In Catholic school, they were teaching us the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost. That's wrong. That's the dictatorship. It's the Mother, the Father, the Child, the Trinity. It is women and children first, no one left behind. It's important that you step up to the plate, men, and start becoming role models for the world. Movies are troublesome when only the heroes live. That's not how God wants it. In His movies, everyone lives. Everyone has the chance to right their ship too. But it doesn't mean that you have to do it. You have to surrender and seek help from spirits and spirit allies and guidance from the universe, and you have to start unblocking yourself and uncensoring yourself. They say Judgment Day is coming, but Judgment Day has been here. It always has been here. We just don't hear it. And you can tell by what's happening with the war and the conflicts, and even in conflict in your own families. We're constantly being judged. And the reality shows, unfortunately, took over as far as the judging shows and competition shows, things like that, really took over. They've always been there, just the ability to see this realm really took over, and it was shoved in our face, unfortunately. And don't be afraid to get involved in music. MTV used to be music videos and VH1, and then it turned into reality shows, and that was a big disappointment when that happened. And Jerry Springer and Judge Judy and all these people, judging others, came about. there's going to be, you might see martial law is going to be enacted in place where you have curfews, and they already have curfews for teens right now, and it's important you abide by those curfews. You don't need to be out on the streets doing stupid stuff. And you really have to watch plant medicines too, including marijuana. You can have a really hard time swallowing. People can actually come in, be on vacation, and they say, I'm not going to allow you to swallow here. I'm going to stop this area to where you can't understand what's coming in with this plant that was grown in a facility where they force fed it, and they force lit it, and they force grew it, and so on. It reminds me of what's happening in the jail systems where people aren't getting proper blankets, and they have lights on them 24/7, and even being abused and being sprayed. There's a real realm where people are being sprayed with nerve gas in jails, in rental homes, and also being poisoned by people that are pushing food on you. I know people that are pushing food that get very upset if you don't want to eat one of their meals, but the behind the scenes is they're poisoning people. They're being used as a catalyst for harm. So it's important you take matters in your own hands and learn how to make your own food. And don't trust. You can't trust people out there. You just cannot. The schools need to be very different. My math teacher was 36 and I was 14. He tried to sleep with me and my friend. It got us drunk. We were very innocent still, and I didn't appreciate that. And I wasn't into that. I've always followed a realm of not cheating. I really didn't enjoy, back then we didn't have cell phones, so you would meet somebody as a flight attendant, and then you couldn't get a hold of them, or they couldn't get a hold of you, so you just kind of moved on. You know, it's survival of the fittest and in heat. But I really embraced the 10 Commandments when I did get married. And we weren't prude. We had not an open marriage, but I'm bisexual. A lot of you are bisexual, you're not full-on gay. And my male counterparts love women. But we were, as far as I knew, not cheating on each other. It wasn't until I opened up that I was getting downloads that he was cheating on me, or had been. His true spirit is love, and that's not his true spirit. So a lot of you have to move beyond these areas and also have things in place so you can know that they're telling the truth, or you have cameras set up, or you have good talks. Open up this dialogue with your spouse or your boyfriend. And embrace their family. There's a lot of areas where when you're young, or you start dating, or you get married, where you don't want to embrace the in-laws, and it's important you do. They're some of the best people you could ever meet in your life. I love my in-laws. My ex, unfortunately, didn't feel the same way, and he had a hard time even with my family coming over. It was very isolating. They can be a big help with your kids and uniting with you with your food growing and getting self-sufficient, water catchment, all that. The schools have to be very different. And right now it's a joke. When you show up or you try to drop kids off, people are honking everywhere. They're like zooming past you. They're pissed off. They're in a hurry. They're cutting you off. It's a horrible place. And teachers are out there with their coffee mugs, you know. You're like, are you on the job or not? You know, I mean, come on. And they're not for the whole community. The neighborhoods around them are suffering because of this traffic jam twice a day. And we have to stop the commuting and the hiring of long distance. I passed by an area yesterday and I saw actually a man standing and saying, "We're hiring." I'm like, that's how it should be. You should have signs up saying, "We're hiring. We want people in this area that can walk to work. Come work for us." So you're not on the street with those cars. You can ride your bike safely. And we need to go to this right away and start hiring locally and stop the commuting and stop the people traveling to make appointments with you. With Zoom technology and online meeting technology out there, there's no reason people should be showing up unless you're getting your hair done, or there's so much you can learn to do online. You don't even have to go to someone to get your hair done. I had a conversation with somebody over why they kept saying when they would take their child to get their hair cut, they wanted it really short, and they would always try to talk them out of it, or they didn't do it. I said, it's self-preservation. They want you to return to have this haircut that needs an upkeep. That's why, so we are self-preservationists out there, and it's about money and getting you back. With YouTube out there, there's so much you can learn to do yourself. But call on people when you need experts, whether it's electricians, plumbing, this and that. Those are great realms to go into. Always have been. Construction realms. We need the community to embrace and help your neighbors and have everybody's homes safe, and people having a home, having a place to sleep that's safe, not on the streets. There should be no street people out there and homeless people whatsoever. And some of these people grew up in the foster care system. Their parents were taken from them at young ages. And then a lot of them, they don't even have ID to go get jobs or cell phones. The smart ones have cell phones, and they are keeping up on things, and they have food stamps, and they even have a sign saying, "Need help." And then I say carry cash for homeless people. But these schools need to be way different. And if you're unhappy with your job, you be the change, as far as you change what you're doing. And you'll see things change. Other doors open up. You might get recruited here. You might find this area here is better. I can actually be a stay-at-home person now and be an entrepreneur, helping my neighbors out. There's a lot of people with income out there that are wanting help, from dogs, have a kennel, to cleaning their homes, helping them with their yards, helping them get some exercise, checking on them. All kinds of needs are out there right around your neighborhood, so don't be afraid to tap into that. And keep rising above all of this chaos, and the news is very depressing when you watch it. And keep aligning with high vibrational actions. Actions speak louder than words. And know that God is real. There's a Mother God. They're in you. They know everything about you. They love you. They want you to love them. And they do want you to strongly follow the 10 Commandments. Just look them up, print them out. Okay? All right, get out there. Toodaloo, peace out.